All righty, here we go. Another morning update. Good to see you out there. It's going to be warming up. Thank God, right? There really is a God after all. I think tomorrow we're going to be close to 50. At least like 4 days in a row, we should be close to 50 degrees. That's good news. Let's talk about some stuff happening in Ohio. I got to get out to Springfield. Now, if you remember in Springfield, what was the big thing about Springfield, if you remember?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Yeah.
Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating.
Okay. All right. Well, here's something else happening in Springfield. Late breaking news. So they have an assistant mayor. Okay. An assistant mayor. This is not the mayor. This is the mayor's assistant. I didn't know you had to have an assistant mayor in Springfield, but apparently you do. And maybe the assistant has an assistant. Who knows? But I got this off of Jack Windsor, the Ohio Press Network, and he's talking about how she has an app. She has an app. I think it's Tracy Tactic. I have to look up her name again. I know her first name is Tracy. She's the assistant. But the point of the whole story is this, that she's got this app that tracks ICE agents, okay? So now we've got to worry about these loony leftists, okay, leftist-type mayors that are going to put the squeeze on ICE. They're going to try to melt ICE. It ain't going to happen, okay? If this little two-bit assistant mayor thinks she can do anything to infringe upon ICE, good luck. The vast majority of Ohioans want ICE in here. The vast majority of Ohioans want ICE to do their work. We want to get the Haitians the heck out
They're
of
eating the cats.
Springfield.
Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cat.
All right. Whew. Oh, I do want to talk property taxes and things associated with that in just a minute, because that is big in the news. That is big in the news. But before we do that, I wanted to highlight a couple of things about voter ID. We've got to pass the SAVE Act. We've got to pass the SAVE Act. Absolutely crucial that we do that. I'm going to go to our website here, our X account here, and talk about that here. Okay, so look at this here for a minute. This tells us why we have to have the SAVE Act passed. And if you're not familiar with the SAVE Act, it's simply you got to show voter ID. If you're going to do mail-in balloting, you have to show voter ID. And if you're going to go in person, you have to show voter ID. It has to have voter ID or driver's license. You know, the same thing you have to show if you want to buy non-alcohol beer. I drink non-alcohol beer now, and it still gives me a buzz. I don't get it. But you got to show an ID to get non-alcohol beer. You're going to have to show an ID to vote in these presidential elections. You're just going to have to. So we got to get this passed. What I want you to look closely at this graph here. You see a lot of red, some blue. The point of the graph is this. Every state that did not have voter ID, Kamala Harris won. And every state that required some form of voter ID, Trump won. Okay, let's say that one more time so it sinks in a minute. If you had to show any form of voter ID, Trump won that state in 2024. If you did not require any ID at all, those 13 states is what Kamala Harris won. So we have to pass this. It's obvious that cheating is off the charts, and it's got to get done, okay? I want to show you this. You don't think that there's any cheating. All right, this is a guy in oversight here he's on the Oversight Committee for Michigan. The Oversight Committee for Michigan.
We were constantly prevented from getting close enough to see what was going on with
this guy.
with respect to the ballots. Book prior to that process.
Listen to this.
Members. So I'd be happy to provide this to you.
I wonder if you can hear it or not.
Dead people were voting. I
Dead
sent
people
a
were voting.
Website to that effect, and the list that they had up to that date was 17,327 randomly checked Michigan voters.
17,327 dead people. They were found in the obituaries. They voted in the Michigan 2020 presidential election. Voter fraud is occurring on a massive scale. 17,327 dead people. And I'd be really, really interested to find out what was the breakdown of the dead people between Republican and Democrat. It's probably 100% Democrat, believe it or not. So apparently after you become deceased, you become a Democrat. There's more Democrats in the afterlife than there are Republicans, obviously, because 100% of them vote Democrat. You got to pass that SAVE Act. We've got a couple of these loony bird rhinos here that are holding it up. Susan Collins does not want to vote for it. These are senators. We have to get it passed. Murkowski out of Alaska. That lady needs to take a long trip on an iceberg. You got Mitch McConnell, who I didn't even know was still alive. He doesn't like it. And John Thune doesn't like it. And he's the leader. He's the Senate leader. He's Republican Senate Majority Leader. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is when you are the Senate Majority Leader, like John Thune is, you're the one who determines what comes to the floor to be voted on and what doesn't. And Thune right now doesn't want to bring it to the floor. He's a rhino, massive rhino. He's a problem. He's a big, big problem. Now he's saying, well, we might not have time to do it. And what he means by this is if they have 50 votes, then the Democrats are going to break out into a filibuster immediately. And they're going to say, well, wait a minute, you're taking it to the floor, but before you do the vote, we're going to filibuster it. And so they can do a standing talking filibuster where you literally have to stand and talk at the podium, and you can't even use the restroom. The minute you leave the podium, your time is up. There's 47 Democrats that are senators, and they could each speak twice if they want to. The record is 25 hours. There's been a few guys that have done 24 hours, but it's very rare. I mean, we're talking like in the last 100 years. There's only been 3 guys that have gone 24 hours. Because you can imagine how difficult that would be. But there's a lot of really old Democrat senators, too. These people are not going to be able to stand at the podium very long. They're going to have to use their commode or something, and then their time is up. So what's the longest? I did some calculating, and I figured about 5.5 weeks would be the absolute longest that this filibuster would go on. And then you vote, it passes, and we're done. I don't understand why the Republicans can't make this happen. They have to. And Thune is like, well, John Thune is like, man, we don't have the time anymore. We don't have the time. Make the time. There is nothing more important than saving this country. Make the time to do it, please. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm going to see what else we have on the news. I want to talk a little bit about some of the property tax stuff that's going on here. Here's all the states, by the way, or I should say countries, that require you to have a form of ID. And the only one on there that's got the red X is the United States. We are not mandatory with photo ID. It's not mandatory, and it's got to become that. It's got to become that. Even in Somalia, by the way, Somalia of all places, and you know that they don't have a reputation of being exactly legit, okay? They're a very underhanded country, Somalia. I know we got Somalians here. You know, they opened all those daycare centers to scam us. And they require ID. Everybody's got to show an ID in Somalia now to vote. So we definitely could do it here in this country. We have to do it. It'll save the country. Otherwise, we're going to become a lame duck country because we're going to have a lame duck president. We're going to have a lame duck president for the last 2 years. And you know what else? In 2028, the Democrats would stand a good chance of regaining control if we don't pass the SAVE Act. And if you get those Democrats back in power, it's the end of this country. They will tear down the border wall. They will bring in every person they can think of. They will corrupt the election process, and on and on and on. So we've got to maintain this, okay? There is no other option to it. There is no other option. And why you have such poor leadership with John Thune at the top is, it's doesn't make any sense to me. No sense at all. All right, a couple other things I do want to show you. Let's get over to the property tax side of things here for a minute, because taxes in general. Here's the greatest
from the property
governor.
tax situation. It's
Here's
very
the greatest
important
governor.
given how that's pinched so many homeowners, particularly our senior citizens who have their
Ron
homes
DeSantis.
paid off and they bought it 30 years ago for a certain amount. Now they're being told it's worth so much more and they have to pony up more and more money. It's almost like they have to pay rent to the government just to be able to enjoy their property, and that's wrong.
Okay, so this guy has got it together. Ron DeSantis, if he wanted to run for president, I'd vote for him. It'd be a tough toss-up for me between J.D. Vance and Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis, he's been a governor. He's shown he is MAGA strong. I'd have no problems with that guy being president. No problems at all. He is fantastic. And Florida's booming. Everybody's moving to Florida. Why? Low taxes, great weather. All industries are going to Florida. It's just expanding. But now here in Ohio, that ain't happening. We're way too overtaxed. Everywhere you turn around, you're getting taxed. There's a new tax everywhere you go. And so this whole idea of abolishing property taxes because people are losing their homes, especially those on fixed incomes. There's just no way to continue to keep paying these massive property taxes on top of everything else we have to pay. On top of everything else. Then you get this, every 6 months you get this property tax bill. And this is if you've paid your house off. And so and it is just, it's all on unrealized gains too. I mean, your house may have gone up in value, so what? Why do I have to pay more to the fire, the police, the schools, the libraries, the parks, this nonprofit, that nonprofit, the community college, on and on and on. Everybody's got their hands in our pocket to take money out. And just because my property supposedly increased in value, like my house, it did not increase in value the way they said it did, but yet I'm paying as if it did. What kind of logic is that? Okay, so what is Ron DeSantis doing? Because this is something that could be incorporated here in Ohio. Ron DeSantis is saying on your primary residence, the home that you live in, no property taxes. And he's pushing the Florida legislature to make sure that that happens in November. As opposed to our governor, who's doing everything he can to derail any significant property tax, help. So Ron DeSantis, this is a great idea. This is a great idea. It says that if you have a factory, if you have an Airbnb, if you have rental property, anything like that, you're still going to be paying property taxes, which can go to the schools, to the roads, and help out in the community, those property taxes. However, your primary residence, free. No property tax attached to that at all. That's what needs to really happen here in Ohio. Now, we have this movement to abolish property taxes. If the state legislature were to come on board and say, listen, let's not abolish property taxes. Let's push a law that says that your primary residence is no longer taxed. No property tax associated with your primary residence. I think everybody would fall in line with that in a heartbeat. But do you think the legislature is going to do that in Ohio? Do you think you're going to do it with a governor that we have right now? A governor who, this guy is unqualified for the
products
job.
that you buy, so it would just be absolutely devastating.
A proposed
He's unqualified at this point to be the governor of this state. Unqualified. He doesn't work with the people. He works with the donors. He works with the people that give him money for his campaign, and that's it. He works with the teachers union, the firefighters, and the police unions, and he doesn't work with the common everyday people like you and I, except he puts up excuses that it cannot be done. That's not leadership. That's BS, man. And he is gone in November. He's a lame duck governor. Nobody is following him anymore. Nobody cares what he says. Talk about lame duck. Good grief. Get out of here. We need some real leadership, man. We need somebody like this in there. We need somebody like Ron DeSantis. Now, hopefully, if Ramaswamy gets elected, Ramaswamy is going to be like that. We hope. We hope. But it is very serious stuff, man. It is very serious. We've got to get something done. Ohio is going to continue to lose population if it doesn't do something with its taxes, like axe the tax. All right, what else? Okay, so DeWine was saying the sales tax could go up to 20% in the state of Ohio on products that you buy. He said it would be devastating, and he warned policymakers that they could be forced to consider increasing income taxes to find revenue. So what he's saying is, hey, we might have to actually increase the income tax. We might have to boost that back up to where it was. Well, then do it. Who the heck cares? I'd rather be paying a state income tax because the poorer you are, the less income you have, the less that even affects you, the state income tax. That was just for, people with big incomes. So put the burden back on that. Take the burden off the local people. We've got to get some help. All right. Gary Click. He has put out a bill, House Bill 420. Gary Click, state representative. And the bill is called Act 1, Discontinuing the Continuum. And he got a lot of chuckles and stuff from it. House Bill 420. And what it is the elimination of continuous levies. A lot of people don't even know this, but we have continuous levies. This is something that was concoctioned up by the teachers union and some really low IQ lawmakers, and we got to get rid of it. And what it is once you pass a levy, if it's a continuous levy, it's there forever. So he said in 2030 we have to eliminate them. I say eliminate them today. And if we abolish property taxes, they're eliminated. The whole idea with the abolished property taxes is to get the lawmakers to start thinking outside the box and do something. Because, if property taxes are abolished, we're going to nuke the system and you're going to have to start all over and do it right. We're not putting Band-Aids. We're not going to keep fixing up an old rundown, rickety way of doing things. We're just going to level it, get the bulldozers out, level it, and start from scratch. That's what the lawmakers are going to have to do. They're actually going to have to work to make it happen. Or do something like what Ron DeSantis is saying to do, and everybody would be very, very happy. Let's see here. Rob McCauley, who could be the lieutenant governor, Rob McCauley, he's the head of the Senate right now in Ohio. He's the Senate president in Ohio. So he's the running mate for Ramaswamy. So the ticket is Vivek Ramaswamy and Rob McCauley as the lieutenant governor. Now he wants to veto operating budget language eliminating tax breaks for data centers. I think that's a great idea. Hallelujah. He said there's a strong possibility that we will do that. And if they don't get it done before November, they would definitely do it if he's elected as lieutenant governor. Now, Governor Mike DeWine vetoed the language from the spending bill, citing that economic benefits of the facilities. He didn't want to lose the economic benefits of the facility, so DeWine says, no, we're going to veto it. We're going to veto it. We're going to veto it. These data centers, number one, are billion-dollar and multi-billion-dollar centers that are being put up in Ohio and other states. They pay no property taxes. They don't pay any sales tax on the actual building and the materials or anything they purchase for the data centers. We give them a sales tax break. They use lots of water. They use lots of electricity. They pump the water back into the ground, many of them. Some of them try to reuse the water, but You can't reuse it 100%. So there is pollution. And then they employ, what, 75 people? You get more than that at a McDonald's, for crying out loud. There is no economic benefit for this. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, these multi-billion, trillion-dollar companies are coming to states touting the economic benefits they're going to be receiving, and it's all a bunch of BS. If you're not getting any property taxes, how is it benefiting the local community? If you're not getting any sales tax revenue, how is that benefiting the state or the county? Kent Smith, he's a Democrat out of Euclid, said the tax breaks offer little or no benefit to local taxpayers. He's right on the money with that. He's right on the money. Supporters of data centers have projected major financial consequences for the state because we're not getting anything out of it. Now, they're building the largest data center in Louisiana next year. Good for them. Good for them. Good for Louisiana. But what is it doing for Ohio? If these data centers are not propping up economic benefits, get rid of them. By cutting the 100% sales tax exemption, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce found that Ohio could stand to lose $500 million in annual tax revenue. So the Ohio Chamber of Commerce is saying we're going to lose a $500 million in annual tax revenue by cutting the 100% sales tax. Tell me how that makes sense. You've eliminated the sales tax completely, and we're going to lose $500 million in annual tax revenue. Okay. I'd like to see the paperwork. See, you just can't. Let me tell you something. When you get any kind of just a summary line, a bullet point, try looking into it for sources and how they're coming up with this information. Because I'd like to know. But the Ohio Chamber of Commerce wants it really, really bad. Others, like the Data Center Coalition, have argued that it could lead to a data center companies building facilities in other states. So there is the Data Center Coalition. And they're saying, hey, if you don't give us all these freebies, we're just going to go to another state. If you're not giving us anything in Ohio, go to another state. Who the heck cares? Go to another state. All right. Well, anyhow, I think that's enough, man. I got to get out of here and get to work. You guys have yourself a good day, and remember...
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
All right, we'll see
Eat
ya.
the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat